Hey guys, welcome back to our channel Glitched Velocity. I'm your host Wazahat, and today in this video I'm gonna demonstrate my new shader action that allows us to apply customized wind effects to a 3D model in CopperCube game engine. As always, you can download this shader action for free from our website www.neophyte.cf. So go ahead and download the shader action to your computer. Once you have downloaded and installed the shader action to your computer, now open up your CopperCube editor. Let me just maximize it and delete the default cube mesh and the default skybox. Now I'm going to create a plane here. So let me change the tile count to 1 and leave all the other parameters to default values. And then we are going to apply a behavior triggered by events. Then we are going to select when a key is pressed to something. And then I'm going to change my key from A to F. And then we are going to apply our shader action to that behavior. So go to scripted actions and search for apply wind shader. As soon as you select apply wind shader, you will be provided with bunch of different properties and options here. First one is affecting node. It is the node on which we want our shader to be applied. So in this case, it is our plane mesh. So I'm going to select our plane mesh here. Then we have affect all the materials checkbox. We can uncheck it and supply a material index for our affecting material if we want to affect a specific material for our 3D object. Suppose if we have an 3D model which has multiple materials, then we can supply the material index here so that we can affect a specific material here. But in this case, I'm going to check this affect all materials here. Then we have base material type. I'm going to put 13 here to make our plane mesh transparent. Then we have a bunch of different wind properties like wind quality, wind strength, wind height offset, wind texture height offset, wind speed, wind direction on the x-axis, wind direction on the y-axis. And for now, I'm going to leave all these settings on the default, or maybe we should change this wind strength to something else like 5 or maybe 2, and I'm gonna hit OK. And now I want to apply a grass texture to this plane mesh, but as you can see, we don't have any grass texture in our texture panel. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a terrain here and quickly undo my changes by pressing Ctrl Z, and then we can see that we have a bunch of grass textures here. And I'm going to apply it by double clicking it on it, and then go to materials and then change the material from solid to transparent alpha channel. And now I'm going to test the application with the default shader settings or parameters. So if I press Ctrl F10 and if I press F now, then this grass plane mesh here should move or sway with the wind effect. So let me just press F now. And as you can see, this is swaying up and down, left and right with a very slow speed. So we can tweak a bunch of different settings in our shader action. So go back to our shader and we can increase the speed. Wind speed is right now 0.1. So we can change it to 1. And let me just test the application now. And if I press F again, then you will see our grass is swaying way much faster than previous. So the wind effect is much more visible right now. We can tweak a bunch of different settings here. We can play with wind strength. We can increase or decrease it according to our preferences. For example, if I put 10 here, then the sway will be much more further. If I press F now, then you can see it is now swaying more further than we have seen in the previous example or previous test. We can change the wind quality. It will change the order or manner of wind effect on this grass, or the order of swaying or wiggling of this grass. So we can change it to 5. So now it will wiggle much faster or in an odd manner. As you can see, it is moving in a very odd manner, like wiggle, 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 wiggle. And let me just decrease the wind speed a bit, 0.2. And we can also change our wind direction on the x-axis. Let me just turn off it on the x-axis, so it will only move on the y-axis. So it will move up and down, up and down. So it will wiggle up and down when I press F now. If I press F now, then you can see it is wiggling up and down. And there is a randomness in the wiggle. That's because of the wind quality. If I put 0 here in my wind quality, then you will notice that the wiggle is not random. It will wiggle in a wave, but it's not random now. It will move to a fixed certain height and then it will come down in a wave. So we can change this wind quality to something else like 15. And now if I press F, then you can see how random the wiggle or the wave is. So it is going to a height and then going down. All the grass is wiggling and it is random to a certain wind quality. And let me just turn off the direction Y and turn on the direction on x-axis. So it will wiggle from left to right instead of up and down. If I press F now, then you can see it is wiggling from left to right. And then we have wind height offset and wind texture offset. And we are going to these two properties in a moment. So all of these properties are tweakable according to our preferences. We can change the wind quality, we can change the wind strength, we can change the wind speed and wind direction according to our project or according to our needs. So yeah, you have to put it according to yourself. Whatever value you put in here and it gives you the desired result, then it will be fine for you. Now moving on to our these two options like wind height offset and wind texture offset, I'm going to use a different model here or a different approach here to make you understand what these options will exactly do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this ancient statue here, and let me just change its position to 0, 0. And I think I can delete this plane mesh. And then I'm going to create an empty sphere with 0 radius and 0 poly count, and then change its position to 0 as well. And then what I'm going to do right now is I want to find the height of this 3D model. So I located it on 0 and our sphere mesh is on 0 as well. So how to measure height of this 3D model of this ancient statue? What I'm going to do is I'm gonna move this empty sphere mesh in my 3D scene according to this 3D model of ancient statue. So I'm gonna select the sphere mesh here and move it here like this. so that it will give me the height of this 3D model. As you can see now, I know what is the height of this 3D model. So it is 132. As you can see, I have positioned and aligned my empty sphere mesh at the top of this 3D model here. So the Y position of this 3D model, 3D empty sphere is 132, and 132 is the total height of this 3D model. And what I'm going to show you is in our action or in our shader action, let me just quickly attach a new behavior. When a key is pressed, do something, change your key to F and attach the wind shader action here. Apply wind shader and then select affecting node as ancient statue. So in our wind shader here, we have wind height offset. So what this option will do is it will allow us to specify a height of a 3D model. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate or clone this sphere mesh and move it here so that I can get the height from toe of this 3D model, from bottom of 3D model up to this neck. So let me just check what's the position of our sphere mesh. It is 106. So now I know the exact height of the body of this 3D model, ancient statue. It is 106, from 0 to 106. And what if I want my wind shader to affect this head only? So that's where we need this wind height offset. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put 106 in my wind height offset here. What this will do is it will only affect the head part and leave all the body part unaffected. So if I test the application now by pressing Ctrl F10, now if I press F, then the wind shader will only affect the head part, leaving all the body part from bottom till the neck part unaffected. So if I press F now, then you can see the head part is affected. The body part remains unaffected with the shader. So you can specify a wind height offset to control the wind effect. We can increase or decrease this wind height offset. For example, I can put 80 here. And if I press Ctrl F10 and if I press F now, then it will affect more body part, or we can say it won't affect bottom to 80, height 80 of this 3D model. And then we have this next property, which is somewhat similar, like wind texture height offset. And I'm going to use another 3D model here instead of this ancient statue to make you understand better what it does. What I'm going to do is I'm going to import a mesh here, which I have already on my desktop, which is a tree mesh. If I import it, then you can see we have a bunch of flat 3D trees. So I'm gonna change their material to transparent alpha channel. I'm going to show this palm trees here. So we have these palm trees and I'm going to make them double-sided without alpha rendering. And here you can see the texture here. And in this option here, in our shader action, we have wind texture height offset. So what we are going to do is we're going to affect this palm tree based on this texture height. So suppose we have this kind of texture for our 3D model where we have simple tree UV, and we want to affect this portion only of the texture and leave all the below part unaffected. Then we can specify a wind texture height offset here. First, let me just select the tree here and let me quickly check what is the material for this palm. So it's the first material, and I'm going to affect this material only. So the first material of our 3D mesh is our palm, and we want to affect this only. And we can change our height texture height offset here. Right now it is 0. Let me just show you with the 0. If I press F now, then you can see it is affecting the whole 3D model. Or you can say it is affecting the whole texture from top to bottom. And if I put 0.5 here and wind texture height offset 0.5, then it will affect half of the texture and leave the bottom half unaffected. If I press Ctrl F10 to test the application, and now if I press F, then you can see it is affecting the half part of the texture, and the remaining half will be unaffected by the wind shader. So I think this can be useful in some rare cases where you have a whole texture as a 3D image or 2D image. Like this one, we have a simple image of palm as a texture. This can be useful if you are using flat 3D models or flat objects like this one. So right now it is doing half of this model. We can increase or decrease it from 0 to 1. In our shader, if I change it to 0.9, regardless of wind height offset, it will always affect only the 0.1% of this texture. So remaining 0.9 will be unaffected by wind. So this is another method of providing you a feature where you can control the wind according to your preferences. So you can control the wind according to wind height offset or the height of the 3D model or the actual 3D model, and you can control the wind effect according to the texture of the 3D model. So wind height offset is the actual height of your 3D model. Wind texture height offset is based on the height of your texture. It goes from 0 to 1, while wind height offset is your actual size of your 3D model. It can be 0 to 1000, or it can be 0 to 100, 0 to 5, 0 to 1, whatever is the size of your 3D model. I know it's a bit complicated, but yeah, this is how it works. So, yep, that's it. All the properties have been covered. So that's how this wind effect works and why this wind effect is better than the default one. Let me just show you. So suppose we have a plain mesh here with tile count 1 and with a grass texture applied on it. Let me just change it to transparent alpha with wind applied to it, moved by wind and double-sided material. So now you can see the wind is affecting this plane mesh or this grass, but the movement is from outside to inside. You can see the wind is coming from both the direction, and the texture is like it is coming from here to the center and from here to the center. It's not like the actual wind. And the movement is based on the world position, not the position of this 3D model. So you can't change the direction. It will always be according to the world position. So if I clone it and rotate it 90 degrees on the x-axis, or you can say z-axis, then you can notice that still moving from here to the inside and from here to the inside based on the world position. It's the direction is not based on the vertex position of this 3D model or plane mesh, but in my shader it is actually based on the vertex position of this plane mesh. So you can supply different directions for different 3D objects. They all will have different direction, while in the default or the built-in shader, the direction of the wind is same according to the world position, and you can't use the wind shader with any other material type other than transparent alpha channel. While with my shader action, you can use it with solid materials or transparent materials. It doesn't matter at all. And you can specify the direction. You can control the height offset according to the 3D model, according to the texture. You can control the detail or the quality of the wind. You can control the speed. You can control the strength. While the default wind has only two options: wind speed and wind strength. So, yep, that's the difference between the inbuilt wind material and the customized wind material with more features and more control over your wind effects. So that's pretty much it. That's the conclusion. I think I have covered all the topics. And in the next video, I will be thinking of creating it more like tips and tricks and hidden features of CopperCube. Uh, I know a lot of about this engine, and I think many people don't know how to do that, how to do this. So I'm thinking of creating a tutorial video of quick short tips and how to quickly do something in CopperCube game engine. I hope you will like the video. So if you like this video, then don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel, then subscribe it. You can also join my Discord. Link is in the description down below. That's it. Bye bye. Have a good day. Peace out. Hasta la vista.